Hello everyone, Dr. Vaughn. I'm going to make a quick video about getting ready for and the content of your final exam. So first I'm going to show you a couple of the settings. This is the inside view of what the instructor gets to see, the settings for class. Your final exam does cover all of chapters 1 through 12, but it says the emphasis is on chapters 9 through 12. I'm going to tell you exactly what that means. You do see you get one attempt at this exam. You have to complete it in one session. If it's interrupted, you need to email me and I have to let you back into the exam. You'll get 90 minutes. There'll be a timer counting down and the questions will be scrambled. They're almost all going to be multiple choice exams, the questions. So let me just show you a preview of what the exam is actually going to look like. If I go into preview mode, mine will look a little bit different than yours. And so you can see there's these 30 questions. Questions 1 through 8, although again the order may be scrambled. There's 8 questions that are on chapters 1 through 8. And then there's 22 of the 30 questions that are on chapters 9 through 12. So that's what it means when it says the emphasis is on chapters 9 through 12, 22 of the 30 questions. It also says 30 points, but what happens is you get a percentage, and then that percentage gets scaled up to your points that are actually over in Canvas. And there's mostly multiple choice, and if it's multiple choice, then there's not going to be any partial credit unless there's multiple parts to the question, and then you get one part right and not the other part right. A big suggestion that I have for actually doing well on your final exam is to have StatCrunch open in a separate window. You can see I've logged into it. I have it open over here. You need to use your Pearson credentials, or find another problem where it's active, because a lot of these you might expect it to be there and it's not. There's not that link to open up the data into StatCrunch. So if I wanted to do this chi-squared test statistic here, and I have the data, plan number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the employees, this is a one variable chi-squared goodness of fit test, right? And so I would need to either type these data over into StatCrunch or I'd need to do it by hand. So my suggestion is that you have StatCrunch open and you can use it as needs be. I'm going to show you one other question. Here's one about confidence interval, 95% confidence interval for a population mean. And then it tells me the sample size and the mean and the standard deviation of the sample. And then I need to find the limits on that confidence interval. So the big thing here is to know which kind of a tool you need to use and then know how to use those tools in StatCrunch. I'm actually going to do this problem for you. I think that when you do this, your numbers will be different anyway, so it's not like you can memorize what the right answer is. All right, so 95% confidence interval on the mean. All right, so what I'm going to do in my StatCrunch, I think I probably need to sign in. All right, now I'm signed in, and now I actually have access to all of those things. So I'm going to go to the stat, and then it's on the mean, and I know the sample standard deviation. So I'm going to do a t-stat, one sample, and then I only have the summary. I don't have the raw data. I know the mean and the standard deviation, but I don't have the data itself. So now I'm going to type in my sample mean, which was 3120. I'm going to type in my sample standard deviation, which is 677. And I'm going to type in the sample size, which is 20. I'm going to do a confidence interval, and I'm going to do it at the 95% level. All right, so that's entering all the things with the summary data into StatCrunch, but I needed to know that this was a t-test and one sample in order to know which one of those different kinds of options to use under this stat menu. Then I hit compute, and over here I have my lower limit 2803 and my upper limit 3436. And now let's compare that to the multiple choice options, 2803, 3437 rounded. All right, so it's always good when what I computed without even looking at the answers matches one of the options that are available. I have high confidence that that's going to be correct. Now, on your exam, you have to do all the questions and then you submit, and it tells you what your score is, what you got right and what you got wrong. When I'm in instructor preview mode like this, I can actually check the answer and it'll tell me question by question, and you can see that I actually did that correct. All right, so that's a sneak peek at what your final exam is going to look like, and a tip to have StatCrunch open. What I would suggest that you do best to prepare is to go back through your homework and look at those problems, and especially those ones that involve calculations of things like confidence intervals, hypothesis tests, test statistics, and so forth. And I'd like to actually do one or two more problems with you here just to demonstrate that as well. So I'm going to start by looking at chapter 10.2. And again, I'll go into preview mode. This is back from the homework now. And we're going to find a problem. Maybe, let's see, not that one. Not that one. This might not be the right section. Yeah, I think I need to go up to, I want to go up to 10.3. So let's find one that's just calculating, okay, like this one here. All right, so I need to find the test statistic. So what I'm going to look at here is a hypothesis test. I have the mean, sample size, and the population is normally distributed. And I want to find the t statistic. I may only do the first part of this question. I'm just trying to demonstrate how the thought process I go through to know which test to use and how to actually do that tool. So X bar, that's my sample mean, and S, that's the sample standard deviation. I have the sample mean, I have the sample standard deviation, I have the sample size. I do not have the population standard deviation. And so over here in StatCrunch, the tool that I'm going to use is the one sample t-test because it's a mean and its standard deviation, population standard deviation is not known. Right, so t-stats, one sample. Again, I have the summary, I don't have the raw data. And now I just need to start entering the numbers. The sample mean was 18.1. The sample standard deviation was 4.1. The sample size was 17. Comes from a normally distributed population, so I don't need to have that sample size bigger than 30. I'm doing a hypothesis test, and I'm testing the hypothesis that the mean is equal to 20, and the mean is not equal to 20, as though the alternative is less than 20. So I'll change this to less than 20. So all of this matches. I don't need to set the confidence level in this case, and then I hit compute. All right, so in my output window over here, I have the sample mean, which I gave them, the standard error, the degrees of freedom, and then this is that test statistic, minus 1.91. And I'm going to just enter that over here, minus 1.91. And you can see that I got that part of that question correct. Now it's going to go on. There's 3 more parts to this, and I don't want to eat up additional time with the pictures and the things from the t-distribution and everything else. So I'm going to exit out of this particular homework question. So we have time to maybe look at one more. And I'm going to look at 11.2, and we're going to look at question number 2 from the homework. So here we actually have some data itself. This is not the summary. This is the raw data itself. We have paired data, and we're going to do a paired samples t-test. Right, so in this particular case, I have the little icon here. And if I have the little icon here, I can actually open up the data, and so I don't have to type it into StatCrunch. And if I open it up into StatCrunch, now I want to do the paired samples because I have these linked rounds that have been fired through this firearm. And so now I'll go up to t-stats to sample, and I do have the data. All right, so the data of variable 1 is in, where is it at? So it's in column A, and sample 2 is in column B. And let's see, I want to look for the paired samples t-test. Let's see, the difference between the means. I might actually have the wrong option here. Okay, so let me cancel this. And let's go back to our stat and look at paired samples. Let's see if I can't find the paired samples. Oh, here it is. It was just right below the 2 sample. Paired samples. All right, and so now sample 1 is in column A, sample 2 is in column B, And we're testing the hypothesis that the difference is equal to 0, that the difference is not equal to 0, and then compute. Right, so here's my test statistic and my p-value, and this is probably just about everything I need in order to complete this question. Okay, the first thing is just about the, why is it matched? Because they're talking about the same round, and they're just being two different measuring devices. And then the difference is equal to 0, the difference is not equal to 0. And we're just testing whether there's a difference or not whether one is greater than or less than the other. And then the test statistic. So that's this minus 0.97, negative 0.97, negative 0.97. And, again, the p-value. P-value is 0.3764, which rounds to 0.376, 0.376. And there's more parts to this question. I want to end this video at this point, but again, what I've tried to demonstrate to you is a little bit about your final exam and how you can actually use the homework in order to prepare for the final exam. The questions on the final exam are not exactly the same as the ones you've had on the homework or on the quizzes, but they're very similar. If anything, they tend to be a little bit easier, less parts to them, multiple choice responses. And then the other suggestion is make sure you have StatCrunch accessed, open, before you ever get into the exam. Have it up and running and ready to go. Practice with it in a separate window because some students have been frustrated in the past when it's not available for them. All right, I'm going to end this video at this point. I'm going to squeeze out another video for you this morning about your final projects and putting all of the pieces together on that. Talk to you again soon.